In a dusty corner of Ijegun town, where the air smelled of firewood and red earth, lived a girl named Omololu. She was the kind of beauty that made grown women hold their husbands tighter. Her skin glowed like she bathed in honey, and her eyes, deep, searching, ancient, looked like they held the secrets of 100 lifetimes. But beauty did not cook soup. Omololu was born into struggle. Her father, Baba Lolu, was once a respected tailor. His hands stitched for kings, but sickness had a cruel way of mocking greatness. It took him quietly, painfully, and left Omololu fatherless at the age of 12. From that day on, the laughter in their home dried up. Her mother, Iya Lolu, was a strong woman. She sold akara under the scorching sun, woke before dawn, and returned with swollen feet. But no matter how hard she tried, poverty clung to them like a shadow. There were nights when all they had was gari soaked without sugar. There were days when Omololu watched other children go to school while she stayed back to fetch water. There were mornings when she woke to her mother's muffled sobs. But Omololu was a dreamer. Every night she'd lie on the worn-out mat, stare at the leaking ceiling, and whisper, "I won't die in this poverty. I will marry riches. I will wear lace, not rags. I will drink wine, not gari." Her mother would look at her with tired eyes and chuckle softly. If beauty can't feed you, let it at least open the door to a rich man's house. At first, it was just a mother's joke. But as days turned into years and the hunger grew louder, it became a plan. A plan whispered in between bites of cold yam. A plan written into her dreams. A plan that would change everything. The turning point came during Ijegun's Grand Owambe, a celebration so big even the gods might have peeked in. Omololu wore a borrowed lace gown, the color of dusty rose. Her slippers were 2 sizes too big. Her earrings were clip-ons from a neighbor's daughter. But when she entered the party, the world paused, heads turned, drummers stuttered. And in the midst of the crowd, a man stood still. Chief Adegboyega, the richest man in Ijegun, owner of land, companies, secrets. A man whose name carried weight and whispers. He was tall, dark, and always dressed in flowing white agbada. People said his cane was carved from sacred wood. People said he'd buried 4 wives. People said his house had a door you should never, ever open. His eyes, cold, unblinking, rested on Omololu. And that was the beginning. Chief Adegboyega did not speak that night. He simply nodded, once, slowly, and his guards knew what it meant. 2 days later, a brand new Toyota Corolla appeared outside Omololu's compound. Her mother screamed, thinking it was a police raid. But when a man in agbada stepped out with a gift basket and envelope, fear turned to confusion. Inside the envelope, and 500,000 cash and a note. "You've birthed a jewel. Name your bride price." Her mother sat on the floor and wept. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of escape. From poverty, from shame, from hawking akara with broken sandals. She clutched Omololu's face and whispered, "Don't ruin this. This is God answering prayers." Omololu didn't smile. She looked at the money, the car, and her mother's calloused hands, and said, "I will do it." And just like that, the village buzzed. Some called her lucky. Some said she'd sold herself. But Omololu had one goal: escape, become a queen, never suffer again. The wedding was loud. Big men came. Musicians sang praises that echoed for miles. Omololu wore gold, heavy and glittering. But inside, she felt cold. She hadn't spoken to the chief. He had said no more than 5 words to her during their brief meetings. "You are beautiful. You are mine." On their wedding night, his bedroom was quiet. Too quiet. He removed his agbada slowly. He did not touch her roughly, but neither did he ask for consent. When he was done, he stood up, wiped his face, and left her on the bed. No kiss, no warmth, just silence. This became the rhythm of her days. At first, she told herself it was normal. Rich men were different, she thought. Reserved, traditional. But weeks passed, then months. He spoke only when necessary. He never smiled. He never let her leave the compound. Omolola's golden cage glittered on the outside but reeked of loneliness within. And then came the door. One evening, as the housekeeper swept the corridor, she paused beside a thick wooden door painted in red. Her hands shook. "Don't ever go near this door," she whispered. "Not even when you hear voices." Voices. That night, Omolola couldn't sleep. She heard it, faint whispers, women sobbing, a baby crying. She tiptoed close but stopped. Something in her spirit screamed, "Go back!" She ran to her room and cried. Was she a wife or a prisoner? And then, the worst came. She missed her period. Pregnant, she expected joy. Perhaps now the chief would soften. Instead, he stared at her, his eyes colder than ever. "Good. You will not need to leave anymore." Months passed. Her belly grew. Her hope shrank. Her mother stopped visiting. The chief had given her a shop in town, filled it with provisions. She no longer saw the need to check on her daughter. "You're in a mansion," she would say on the phone. "What more do you want?" What more? Love, freedom, a name that wasn't Chief's wife. One rainy evening, Omolola gave birth to a baby girl. The chief didn't come. The maid placed the baby in her arms. Omolola stared at her daughter, weeping. "I'll name you Ayomide, because joy has finally come." But that joy was short-lived. One morning, Ayomide was gone. The nanny claimed the chief had taken her to the city. No calls, no photos, no updates. Omolola lost her mind. She stopped eating, talking, bathing. Her beauty faded. Her laughter disappeared. Her soul, gone. One day, after weeks of silence, the chief entered her room. "You'll have another child, a son this time," Omolola snapped. "Where is my daughter?" He stared. "That door you were warned never to open, open it." Her blood froze. She ran to the hallway, hands shaking. She turned the knob. Inside, portraits, photos of women, 4 of them, each with a child, each smiling, each dead. Omolola screamed. The chief appeared behind her. "You're not special. You're next." But Omolola had nothing left to lose. She grabbed the nearest object, a candle stand, and struck. He fell. She ran, through the gates, into the night, bleeding, crying, free. She collapsed at her mother's doorstep. The older woman looked at her, stunned. "My daughter." Omolola held her mother's feet. "I wanted money. I got madness." Her mother wept. "We sold your joy." Years passed. Omolola never remarried. She worked at a women's shelter. She told young girls, "Marry for peace, not pocket, for kindness, not cars." She never saw Ayomide again, but in every girl she saved, she saw her child. And that became enough.